the self is more a technical thing. The biological self is there because the senses are coordinating at a particular speed. If we slow it down, it will disappear. What are the consequences? You don't feel separate from the other. That is the biological self. The psychological self is the brain is in the habit of giving meaning to things. You don't realize that actually. Suppose we have some currency notes here. Basically, though it's paper, the mind would say it's all currency notes. Let's take gold for example. Gold is not actually such great use, but then we have given it tremendous value. It's a thing that the mind is doing. Let's take diamonds for example. They're also pretty useless, but then you give it a lot of value. So, similarly, relationships, attachments, all things, it's a trick of the mind. The mind is playing games there, it is giving meaning. Because of that, you have a psychological self. Because in the process of giving meaning, the one who's giving meaning is born. There's only thinking, there's no thinker. Very often you think there's a thinker called Niranjan who is thinking. If you look a little inward, you will see there's no thinker at all. Thinking is an automatic process going on all the time, which is creating the illusion that there is a thinker. What is thinking? It is the faculty of the mind to give meaning to things. As you give meaning, to give meaning you must connect things. Unless you connect things, there is no meaning. You must connect the currency with the government, the Reserve Bank, then it acquires meaning. So when you start connecting things, the connector is born. That is the psychological self. So it is born there not because you love it. Because you are connecting things, it is born. In the process of enlightenment, we stop this connecting process. Once we stop this connecting process, there is no connector. What is there is only a witness. And witnesser is not there. What is there is only consciousness whose property is to witness. It is not that consciousness is witnessing. Consciousness is equal to witness. That is what is consciousness. It is simply there. So it's only a technical thing that the self is born. And once the self is created, the self thinks it is real. It does not want to perish. Therefore, it has to go on giving meaning to things. It has to go on becoming something which it is not. In that struggle, in becoming, the self is there. In other words, the self is not struggling, the struggle is the self. If you do not struggle, there is no self. Therefore, there is always struggle going on. Every human being you take, there is not a moment when there is no struggle. That struggle is you. When the struggle goes, you go. That's what is enlightenment. That's why as long as you are there, you will be struggling. That is what is existential suffering. You may be the richest man in the world, the most powerful man in the world, the most respected man in the world, but you will be struggling. Because unless you struggle, you cannot exist. That struggle is what we call existential suffering. If you have financial problems, we call that a physical problem, a physical suffering. If nobody is relating to you, if you lost your name and fame, and then we would say you are having psychological suffering. If these two things are not there, still there would be a struggle to become something. And that we call existential suffering, which is the most painful. It is that kind of suffering which most often drives people to suicide and into depression. So that has to go. So it is not that you are in love with yourself. Unless you struggle and you become something, you don't exist, because you are only an illusory existence. In the process we show you, you are an illusion. And once you see it very clearly, it is gone permanently and forever. Like we have a snake here. You are all the time frightened of the snake. Then we show that it is a rope. The moment you see it's a rope, is there fear? Fear is gone. Was there any effort involved? No effort was involved. Was there time involved? There was no time involved. So there's neither time involved, nor there's effort involved. the fear disappearing. Similarly, if you see and the self is illusory, no time is involved in becoming free. No effort is involved in being free. That's why we say in the Mahavakya, to see is to be free. It's all over. It's easily said, but you need grace for that.